United targeting January transfer for Bournemouth left-back Milos Kerkez, Leny Yoro injury update, plus also the latest on the Old Trafford Stadium plans. These are some of the topics we will be discussing on this morning's live show. But before we get into that, please do me one small favour. Smash a like on today's video. Let's try and see 500 likes on this episode. And if this is your first time watching, please also subscribe to the channel. We're less than 10 subscribers away from 39,700. So let's see if we can hit that by the end of today. Right, let's start the show off by talking about Leny Yoro then, shall we? Because a big story broke last night about his potential return date. So, just to give you a bit of a recap, Leny Yoro is now off the crutches. He's now walking freely. I don't think he's back in first team training yet, but he is, doing work in the gym. He's doing independent work on his own on the grass. So that's good. That's positive. His ankle, his foot brace thing is off now. And the story this morning is saying that apparently he will be back most likely after the next international break. So that would be, the next international break is on the 10th of October, which is really soon, isn't it? I swear we've literally just had an international break and there's another one in like 3 weeks. Literally, 3 weeks. I'm not going to lie, I really don't like the international breaks. I really don't care about Nations League football. I'm not going to lie to you. It really doesn't interest me in the slightest. But in relation to Manchester United, let's have a look at our fixtures. So, apparently, if he's going to be back after that international break, it means he's going to miss the following games. He'll miss Crystal Palace, obviously, this weekend, FC Twente in the Europa League, Tottenham Hotspur, Porto in the Europa League, Aston Villa in the Premier League. And then he should be back after that. So in time for the Brentford game, which is on the 19th of October. But the question I wanted to ask you this morning is this, right? Even if Leny Yoro comes back, I'm not sure if he even gets in the team, to be honest. Like, you've just got Matthijs de Ligt, who got a goal the other day, put in a very good performance. I think he's been pretty decent since we've signed him. You've got Martinez, who's the starting left-sided centre-back. Now you've literally got 4 players battling for the right-sided centre-back position, don't you? You've got Leny Yoro, you've got de Ligt, you've got Lindelof, you've got Johnny Evans, and you've got Maguire. So, yeah, I don't really know. I guess obviously you want to rotate, so maybe Leny Yoro plays in the Europa League, maybe. I think in the Premier League, you've got to try and keep it as consistent as possible. It needs to be Martinez and de Ligt every single game. If those are the 2 starting centre-backs, then you don't rotate in the Premier League unless there's an injury. So I'd probably imagine that it'll be Martinez and de Ligt in the Prem, and then maybe in the Europa League, the League Cup, the FA Cup, maybe we see Leny Yoro then. Remember, he is only 18 years of age. He's not like he's in his prime. He's literally still a kid, effectively. He's literally 18, isn't he? So, yeah, it's a bit of a difficult one because it's a problem that we haven't had for a while where we have so many options in the centre-back position now, Obviously, we might speak in a week and there might be 10 people injured, but at the moment, you've literally got 6 or 7 centre-backs all fighting for the same position. And obviously that's because Man United weren't able to get rid of Maguire and they weren't able to get rid of Lindelof in the summer. Both of those players were kind of expected to leave, weren't they? And neither of them went. Milchert says, I think de Ligt and Leny Yoro will play together as well. Yeah, why not? Why not at all? That sounds perfectly reasonable. But then, do we have any left-sided centre-backs? That's the question I'm asking you. Obviously Martinez is left-footed, isn't he? Do we have any other left-footed centre-backs? I'm just thinking. I don't think we do we? De Ligt's right-footed. Pretty sure. Let's have a look. De Ligt is right-footed. Leny Yoro is right-footed. Maguire's right-footed. Yeah, I think Martinez is the only left-sided centre-back, right? I might be mistaken. I know others can play in the left-sided centre-back spot. I get that. But the actual left-footed player, I think he's the only one. Just checking. Obviously, there's Luke Shaw. He's left-footed. He can play at left-sided centre-back. But still, Luke Shaw's not even fit. So I wouldn't really include him in this conversation, to be honest with you. But I'd be interested to see, once we're back to full strength, what would be your starting centre-back partnership? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Someone in the chat's asking about Milos Kerkez. We'll talk about him in a minute. What else have we got? Terso says De Ligt can play at left-sided centre-back. I know all of our centre-backs can play at left-sided centre-back. I know that, but I'm saying our only left-footed, i.e. the foot that their best foot, the only one is Lisandro Martinez. That's the point I'm making. So, yeah. But let's move on from that. Someone in the chat saying here, when Leny Yoro is available to play, Ten Hag should change the formation to a 3-4-3 or either a 3-5-2. And here comes the sneeze. I don't know what it is about this room. Every morning, about this time, 5 or 6... it's weird. Although it seems to have gone now. Let me just blow my nose quickly. I don't know why. I think the sneeze is gone. I'm sure he'll be back in a minute. But let's move on from that and let's move over to Milos Kerkez. So the story this morning is coming out from multiple different people. It's coming out from Manchester Evening News. It's on the BBC website. It's on a couple of other places as well, saying that apparently Manchester United want to try and sign Milos Kerkez in January. Now, this is a name that we were linked to heavily in the summer. But the only problem we have here is apparently Liverpool are also trying to sign him as well. So there is competition for the position. He signed for £15.5 million last summer from AZ Alkmaar. Obviously, he had a really, really good time at the Euros for the Hungarian national team. 20 years of age. I think he's a decent player. How much are Bournemouth going to want for him, though? That's the thing that kind of troubles me. It's like whenever you buy a player from another Premier League club, usually they ask for like more than what they're worth. How many games has he played this season? He's played pretty much every minute of football for Bournemouth so far this year. How are Bournemouth even doing? Not really been following Bournemouth. I think they've been struggling, right? His contract is until... It doesn't say when his contract expires, actually. But I imagine it'll be for Bournemouth are sat in 11th. They're not doing terribly, to be fair. They've only got 1 point less than we do. So, Bournemouth did some quite good business, to be fair, didn't they? They sold Dominic Solanke and bought that Sinistra guy from Leeds, who's quality. They bought that Evan Allison guy from Porto. They bought a couple of other people as well. They've obviously got Kepa from Chelsea. So, yeah, they did some quite decent business. And I like the Bournemouth manager. He's good. But I would love to see Milos Kerkez at Manchester United. I think he's the exact right profile of what we're looking for. He's 20 years of age, the exact position we need. Only, obviously if we had him and we had Luke Shaw, like Luke Shaw for me is just unreliable now. And so we'll wait and see what happens with that one. But I would really like to see Milos Kerkez at Manchester United. I think he'd be a really, really good option. Obviously, we've got Harry Amas, but I think he's still quite a long way away from breaking through into the first team. You've got to remember, Harry Amas he's only just turned 18, hasn't he? Whereas Toby Collier is, he's not even 18. Harry Amas has literally just turned 17. So he's still very, very young. Whereas Toby Collier, who's in the first team now, turns 21 in a couple of months. So they're about 4 years. There's about a 4 years gap between Harry Amas and Toby Collier, So all these people who are like, oh, Harry Amas should be starting. Harry Amas, give him game time. Like, he's still very, very, very young. And you have to remember that, you're playing in the Premier League against like fully grown men and he's a 17-year-old boy. Now, I know some people like, Leny Yoro, he's tall, he's strong, whatever. There are some, what's the word? Not examples. Yeah, there are some examples of some players who are young and they are quite well built and all the rest of it. But from what I've seen of Harry Amas, he looks quite small. He looks quite like weak, I would say. I don't think that's being harsh. Like he's only 17. He's literally just turned 17. I think for everyone to be like, oh, let's rush him through into the first team, I just think it's maybe a little bit premature. I think he's someone who could become a first team player at Manchester United in the next kind of 2 or 3 years. but I don't think it's an immediate thing. And bringing in someone like Milos Kerkez, who's exactly the right age profile in the position we need and already has Premier League experience, as well as having experience in the Euros, I think would be a really clever bit of business. So yeah, I would definitely go and do that, because I think, we can't be relying on a 17-year-old in Harry Amas to be our kind of saviour at left back. I think it's too much pressure on him. So yeah, I'd wait and see what happens with that one. But people in the chat are saying that Toby Collier needs some game time. I think Toby Collier's had quite a lot of game time this season already. Like, he's been part of every matchday squad. He played for 90 minutes against Barnsley on the weekend, or pretty much 90 minutes. He played for most of that game. Let me have a look at how many minutes he's played this season. Yeah, I mean, Toby Collier's had a lot of game time so far this season. He's played in total 4 games, and he's played 256 minutes across 4 games. Like, that's not bad for somebody who's literally just broken through into the first team, to have played 256 minutes across the first 4 games. That's in the Community Shield, the EFL trophy. What's the EFL trophy? Is that like an under-18s trophy? I think so, yeah. And then the EFL Cup and the Premier League. So I think he's had a fair share so far this season. He's not going to start in the Premier League at this stage when you've got Manuel Ugarte, you've got Kobe Mainoo, you've got Bruno, you've got Mount, you've got Casemiro. Like, Toby Collier is not going to start in the Premier League yet, I don't think. I think it's way too early for him. I think he could come off the bench. He's come off the bench for 45 minutes so far in the Premier League, and I think he was all right. But yeah, I don't think he's quite there yet to be, going up against the top teams in the Prem. Everyone who's just joined the video, if you could do me a small favour and hit the like button, that would be really, really appreciated. We've set a likes target for 500 for today's video. We've got nearly 500 people watching. So if everybody who's watching likes the video, we would hit that target. And please do make sure to subscribe as well if this is your first time watching. We're getting very, very close to 40,000 subscribers. So go and do that if you haven't already. Okay, let's move on to something else, though. Let's see what people are saying in the chat today. James says Leny Yoro would have been promised games in order to convince him not to join Real Madrid. Probably, yeah. I think he will get games, definitely. But I'm just saying, in the Premier League, I think you need to keep it the same centre-back partnership. I don't think you should be chopping and changing your centre-backs in the Premier League unless you have to, unless there's an injury. Because, the Premier League is effectively the most important competition, isn't it? Like, we need to get back into the top 4. Like, if we get back into the top 4, I'll be very, very happy. So, yeah. Alex says Ten Hag is doing with Toby Collier what he did with Kobe Mainoo in the 2022-23 season, using him from the bench, more starts next season. Yeah, I think that sounds about right to me, and I would agree with that. You don't want to throw in a player like Toby Collier immediately into the first team every single game. Like, it's counterproductive. Yeah. So, I have no doubt that Erik Ten Hag knows what he's doing, so that's good. Right, let's move on from that, though. Obviously, keep getting your comments in about Milos Kerkez. Maybe there's another left back that you'd prefer to have instead. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Right, let's move on to something positive. So the story on Manchester Evening News this morning is that apparently Seko Kone is set to make his debut for the Manchester United under-21s. So yeah, that's good. People seem to think that he was going to break straight into the first team. I think from what I've heard, he's going to kind of be a fringe player, someone who's between the first team and the under-21s. Like, they're going to bring him in, give him some experience, etc., etc. Yeah, apparently he's training with the under-21s at the moment. And then apparently he will get some minutes in the first team at some point. That's what's being said. And apparently the under-21s play against Doncaster this coming Tuesday. So they're thinking that he might make his debut that game. So, yeah, I mean, that's exciting. I think he's a player who a lot of us are very excited about. Obviously, a very young, talented central defensive midfielder, widely regarded as one of the best up-and-coming CDMs in the world in that position, in his age group. I'm not saying he's the best CDM in the world, just to be clear. I'm saying that in his age group, Seko Kone is regarded as, in the 18-year-old age group, he's regarded as one of the best kind of promising CDMs. So it's great to have him in the team. In relation to a first-team debut, maybe it won't be this season, maybe it'll be next season, but that's not a problem for me. The whole point is we've got the player, he's at Manchester United, and yeah, as and when he's ready, Erik ten Hag, I'm sure, will give him the minutes that he deserves. So that's great. Really, really happy for him. I hope, he gets no injuries. I hope it starts well, and I hope that, I hope we see him in the first team like within the next 12 months. Not starting, obviously, but just part of the team. Maybe playing in some League Cup matches, in some Europa League matches. Well, hopefully Champions League next season, but yeah, you know what I mean. Okay, let's move on from that though. Let's move over to Xavi Simons. And you're probably thinking, not again, please, no. But there is a bit of an update on Xavi Simons that came out last night from Fabrizio Romano, saying that apparently Manchester United made contact over a move for Red Bull Leipzig attacking midfielder Xavi Simons. It says it has been reported that there is still interest in signing Xavi Simons next summer, but there is obviously a lot of interest from a lot of clubs, and PSG apparently still even want to keep Xavi Simons once he comes back from his loan move. Now, I would have liked to have seen Xavi Simons. I think, again, he's the right age profile. I think he's a talented player. Obviously, he decided to go to Red Bull Leipzig on loan again, which probably was the best decision for his development. If he came to Manchester United, where would he have played? Bruno Fernandes doesn't get dropped. I mean, I say that Bruno Fernandes didn't play in the League Cup, but I think everyone was kind of shocked about that because, I mean, Bruno did play in the League Cup technically. He played like half an hour of that game when we were already winning 5-0. So that shows you how much of a hold Bruno Fernandes has on this team, that even in a match against a League One side that we're winning 5-0, Bruno Fernandes still comes onto the pitch, which I don't have a problem with, by the way. I'm just saying, for a young player like Xavi Simons, who, predominantly plays as an attacking midfielder, you would look at that situation and think, well, if I go to Manchester United, I'm probably never going to play. Mason Mount would be ahead of me. Eriksen might even be ahead of me. He'd probably just sit on the bench for most of the season. Now, I know obviously he can play as a left winger and a right winger as well, but the most important thing for Xavi Simons at this age in his career, 21 years of age, is that he's playing every single minute that he can for club, and he has done that for Red Bull Leipzig this season. He's played every single Bundesliga game. He just played in the Champions League for them, so I think he made the right decision in going to Red Bull Leipzig again. I think it makes the most sense, to be honest. But it doesn't mean that in the future I wouldn't be against bringing him in. I just think that that central attacking midfield position is completely dominated by Bruno Fernandes, and Bruno doesn't get injured. He doesn't get dropped. He doesn't really seem to get rotated very much. So, yeah, I mean, it's not ideal, but he is a quality player. So, yeah, we'll wait and see what happens with Xavi Simons. Would you still like to see Xavi Simons at Manchester United? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Mark says, have you got any news on Frankie de Jong? Mate, Frankie de Jong, oh God. Not Frankie de Jong, please. No, there's no stories about Frankie de Jong. I wouldn't be surprised if we get linked to Frankie de Jong again next summer. I would not be surprised at all, to be honest. Frankie de Jong's getting old now. He's 28 soon. Yeah, I mean, there's already if you type in Frankie de Jong Manchester United, there's already people saying that Man United are going to go for Frankie de Jong next summer. I mean, I don't understand these journalists. They're just putting out the same story over and over again, aren't they? Let me just have a look. Well, I tell you what will be interesting, to be fair, right? Frankie de Jong's only got 2 years left on his contract. So this time next year, he'll have less than 12 months left. So I imagine he probably will leave Barcelona next summer, to be fair. But would I sign Frankie de Jong at the age of 28? It doesn't really excite me anymore. It excited me 2-3 years ago when Erik ten Hag first signed. Like, it really excited me then. I thought that would be a great deal. Bring him in, amazing. But now, at the age of 28, like, it's a no from me for Frankie de Jong. I just think the money involved in that deal would be ridiculous as well. So yeah, it's a no from me. Erik ten Hag. Somebody in the chat says Kadioglu scored the other night. We missed out. We didn't have the money to buy a left back. That's the problem. I wouldn't say we missed. Well, I mean, we did technically miss out, but we didn't have the funds in order to buy a left back as well, because we spent money on other positions. 2 centre backs, obviously Manuel Ugarte, etc., etc. So there wasn't the money available to buy a left back. If Maguire had gone, Lindelof had gone, a couple of others had gone, we would have got a left back, but we weren't able to do that. So yeah, it's not it is disappointing, but we're going to have to wait until... I said this during the summer, right? We're not going to be able to do all of our business in one window. It's going to take 2 or 3 windows to get us to the point where we are in a position to challenge, in my opinion. You know, and we need a left back. We need probably another striker. We maybe need another centre back. Like, we still need lots of positions filled in our first team. So we got Mazraoui, who I think is a decent player and obviously can play at left back. You've got Dalot, who can play at left back. Obviously, we'll get Luke Shaw and Malacia back soon. So yeah, I understand it's frustrating. I understand a lot of people wanted Ferdi Kadioglu, but we signed, 5 players, 6 players in the summer. We did some good business, I think. So, you know, you can't have everything in one window. It might have been that we got Ferdi Kadioglu and then we didn't get Manuel Ugarte, you know? So, like, if you had to pick and choose and you can't have everything, I think it does kind of explain the situation for how it is. We needed 2 centre-backs. We needed a striker. We needed a midfielder. Like, we got all of those positions. And unfortunately, we didn't have the extra money available to then go and get a left-back as well, which is annoying, but it's just how it is in football, isn't it? You can't just spend constantly. And from what we're hearing this morning, it does look like Manchester United will go and spend in the January transfer window and go and get a left back. So yeah, we'll wait and see for that one. But I'm going to wrap the video up here, guys. I will be back live at 6 p.m. for another live show. Thank you very much for joining me this morning. If you have enjoyed today's video, please do me a small favour and hit the like button before you leave. Make sure you subscribe to the channel on your way out. This has been Daily Red Devil. I will be back